there's willfulness everywhere. The stronger will overcomes the less strong will. We all have to have something that represents a will of some kind. Otherwise we can do nothing. But the word is willful, which is full of it, if to put it. And that's very dangerous. Damned if you succeed and damned if you don't. Because if you're going to be willful, there's going to be people who are willful, you're willful too. And you infect them with that. So they become willful back again. And if they don't succeed in overcoming the champion one who infects you with it, then you turn around and you become willful to somebody else weaker than yourself. And basically it's just deceitfulness and anger. Because if you weren't angry with the person who is willful, playing the role of God, but a dark one, because no person can be willful except he be God. Now, I have a will, but it's not my will. It's thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So you are subject to one will or the other. And so what you've got is willfulness. and therefore your journey and the outcome of your existence represents that. One kills you forever, and the other one makes you live forever, alive. But when I say kills, everybody sheds the body, but the spirit of you does not die, whether it's in heaven or hell. I don't know what hell is like, but I can smell it when you see what's going on in the world, and then especially in America, where this shouldn't be happening. But slowly but surely, there's forces in this world who are psychopaths and sociopaths, and they take the form of manly and feminine, masculine and feminine. The masculine one will eat your liver, and the other one is feminine, sweet, nice, kind, do all kinds of things for you. Oh, what a wonderful... So he's serving your will. He serves your will, but he has a bigger will. And if you yield to that will, you're yielding to a God that isn't God. It's really a dark side of the force with a different countenance. See? And so, but willfulness is intoxicating. Willfulness is everywhere. And there's people who are subject to willfulness, but then the subject to willfulness serves the willful one. One is a bigger willfulness than himself. Then he turns around and is willful to another person. Now the willfulness contains anger. There's only a release from the anger when you get what you want. Finally the tooth is... Now we have a smiling face of 4 people in the front here. Now how are you doing?
Working on issues.
Yes, you've been stiff. You've been stiff most of your life. I've known you God knows how many years.
God knows, probably more than 30.
Yeah, but you're a lot sort of looser, more naturally self-controlled. Mm-hmm. You can be so tight and to want to do the right thing.
I'm
Yes.
always so worried about other people's impressions of
Yeah.
me.
But you shouldn't care at all.
Right.
Why should you care? It's only because you've been hurt. If you really stop and think about it, we have to change a little subject matter just because the young lady just came in. But still, I know this young lady for a long time. She was like this. Hello, how you doing? All right. And so you're much better.
Not
It's
everybody says
clear.
I'm much better, but.
Oh, yes, I can see it. I can see it. It's a credit to you. Now, all you have to do is stop. I understand. I do understand, but I haven't really asked you the question about your background and your family. But something must have happened there to make you want to be a good person. But it became stiff and rigid and obedient.
Right.
And a servitude kind of obedience to want to be the right thing,
You want to be a
do the
martyr.
right thing all the time, and it just will wear you out because you're willing, you're pushing, you're forcing, you're trying to overcome your whatever it is you're trying to overcome. See,
It's,
the
I think,
effect.
again, it's my will
Fine.
that's trying to make, be good.
Yes, but you can't be good because you don't know what good is. All you get is stiff. See, it's just all tight and angry, inside angry because anger seems to make you strong. But at the same time, it makes you guilty.
Right.
See, and so then you feel guilty. Then you want to be nicer. You feel guilty. You want to do more. And then people either appreciate you and encourage you, or they take advantage of you, and then you're angry again.
Yeah.
There's no way out. There's no way out. I'm going to sit down here. There we are.
In the meditation exercise,
Yes.
you said to sit down in the chair and just do it religiously. Do it because you
Well,
should.
not religiously. The
Wrong set of words.
Which meditation are you referring to?
I have all your meditations.
The most important one right now is to succeed with the simple one.
Okay.
The simple one is only 7 minutes. It has no religiosity in it. And it's necessary because the meditation has to be worldwide. And just in different languages, but to avoid all the different religions or sacrilegions. See? So it has to be done so that it overcomes all the overcoming factors that has driven men to thousands of different philosophies and religions and craziness. There's only one religion, and it isn't religion. We don't need a religion. What we need is a good heart in ourselves from our Creator. I remember going to, I'm Jewish, and I don't like going to synagogue. But when I went there, it was just gobbledygook.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my friend and myself, we looked at each other. Is this religion? I mean, in Hebrew, they're just babbling. And then you go to the Christian religions, and everyone says something different about what Jesus says. You're listening to the spoken words of people who have the chutzpah. The chutzpah is a Jewish word, I think. The noiv of interpreting what God wants. And then you're listening to it, and it sounds good, but you don't know what the hell you're doing. I mean, the words don't work. the words don't work. The words don't work on the page. But there's something in the pages that could make it work if you could understand what the word means. For instance, love. That's important. But love could also be appeasing. Wow, it's not the same. I mean, it does look like love because you're an appeaser, but you're an appeaser because you're broken. You haven't got the love of God, so you feel like something's missing. You're just angry. And I thought, well, I don't want to be like my angry father, angry mother, so maybe I'll just be nice and kind. And it works, because people too do respond to kindness and goodness, and they don't know, what's really going on inside your head. But the point is, sooner or later, you will become a codependent on a person liking you and loving you. And then you feel a sense of worth. But that sense of worth is worthless, because the more you do for that person, the more he becomes dependent on you doing it. And so it becomes a scrambled egg,
But in the meditation, just sitting down and getting quiet, feeling my hand, feeling the place in my head where thoughts occur, it's just being quiet. There's something that happens. A kindness comes into me that I've never known. And then as I go out into the world, I can see it dwindling away, and I have less and less of that kindness in me. Mm-hmm. And then I need to go back sometime in the middle of the day or whatever, like you said, and recharge. And then it comes back.
Yeah, but the thing is, you give me the clue when you said the recharge. Mm-hmm. And this is not, a place where you get recharged. The meditation is not a charging agent. It is an introduction to your Creator, to be still and know Him. See, and then the words know is also a problem with language. See, so because you can't ever know Him in that sense, but we got no other word. Be still and realize Him. I don't know what other word I can use. Be subject to. To understand that He's your Father, and there's an order. And there's a sense of purpose you cannot give yourself, and all of a sudden you realize that of yourself you can do nothing. And so you can play with words like that around it and give it a dressing that it deserves. Means of yourself you can do nothing. Jesus said it that way, and that is as clear as it can be. We always think of Jesus as a God, and He's not. Because He'd be doing the same thing as the willful person is playing God, because will is a God. And there's two kinds of wills, the will of the world and the will that created the world, right? So there's something missing here. How do you find the will of that created the universe and the world, of course?
Yeah. How do you?
So you can't. And so there's no way you can explain it, but knows that He's made you in His image, and looking at you is not a compliment.
True.
Excuse me for putting it that way.
Getting old.
But it's the same thing, you see. But the point is, there's got to be a purpose, and you cannot give it to yourself. And if you think you can give it to yourself, you've been deceived. And you've only been deceived because when you came into the world, you inherited sin. That's a very important thing. And you inherited it even though you're innocent. Even though deep down inside, you're still a little kid with intuition. That's why you can hear me, because you can see the little kid in me that really is not worldly, and I'm not educated. I'm educerated. If you know the meaning of the word educarate, means to bring forth from within. And so I somehow, when I came into the world, I didn't have a desire to learn, to take knowledge from people as if it was fact. See, I did not like my religion because it didn't explain anything. It just wanted me to imitate and to play it back like a gramophone, a phonograph. See, and I could sense that. The reason why, because I lived in a house, didn't have any friction. I had a good father. He died when he was 42, but I think he was gassed in the First World War. So I saw a little thing in his eye, which is unusual, but he never did complain of it. Anyway, so I kept what was given to me when I was born. My mother's not a willful woman. She's a sweet lady, and she's pretty empty, and she's sort of codependent on her husband, my father. But she was decent, and my father dies, and the war began. She would be a good mother and made sure that we had food, and she would sort of, persuade the butcher to give her a little extra meat, things like that, But she wasn't an influence. And because she wasn't an influence, she was subject to my father, who was a good person, and I never seen her fight. There was no reason. But my mother was not strong. She was kind of weak, and when my father died, she looked to me. And that was the interesting thing. I was maybe 13. And she looked to me as if I was a husband, a man, which is so rare, because the women tend to, the very existence of a woman coming into the world and then producing a baby is still Eve. Eve has not been loved yet. So man born of woman is the extension of Eve that's never been loved. The problem with this, I'm not sure if I can explain it correctly in its order, proper order, but man born of woman. And I think there's some kind of ritual that says man born of woman has not a long time to live, and it goes on to say some negative things. He's shot down, and I can't remember. But I remember the beginning of it, man born of woman. I said, why do they say man born of woman? Well, he is born of woman, but why to keep saying that? There's something wrong with it. See, he needs to be born of God in order to have authority in the home. But the man born of woman has no authority. He tends to look to the devil in the woman. And she's trying to say, please say no to me and tell me not to eat the forbidden fruit. See, don't give me any power. You see, love the hell out of me, please. Not embrace the hell in me, please. Now, she's not saying all this, but I can translate it into words. But it is a thing. It's hard to say. It's called willful. Women are willful. And they carry a certain power that they cannot help. It's the dark side of the force. But women are much more powerful than men. You see, women are beautiful and attractive, just like animals are. But it shouldn't be that way. And men born of woman, having been subject to the woman, and not subject to the man. And the reason is the man is weak, And therefore, who wants a weak father? She doesn't. She wants a husband to say, put the fruit down. See, don't let me take advantage of you. There are some women who understand all this, and they're very willful, and God help you if you marry one like that. She's sitting in the front row.
I'm gonna eat him in a minute.
Well, if it wasn't me, you would have eaten me a long time ago. So, why am I going on this story here? But it's still willfulness. And
What is the magic of the meditation? What is it? What does it do to you?
well, it is magic. You know, I used to love magic. You know, he's fine, leave him alone.
Too far away from the microphone. He needs to be closer to the microphone.
Oh, okay. Just a little closer.
Okay.
That'd be good.
Perfect.
Where was I going?
Magic of the meditation.
Oh, yes. You asked the word magic. I would say the universe is magic. If there's a God, and there is one, and in science you can see that there's an order. You know, in the beginning there was nothing. And, you know, the Bible says it with great brilliance. In the very beginning of the Bible, it says, in the beginning, there was the void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And then God said, let there be light. Now, that is so scientific, you have no idea what that is. What you've got, can I be a little bit scientific just right now, in a
please.
spiritual sense?
Please.
Because it's got some stuff in it. How did they know to speak about a fundamental of all fundamentals? See, right now, they know there's gravity, but they don't know what it is. But they sense there's something more fundamental than gravity. There's something more, but gravity is a product of something.
Mm.
There's got to be a cause of the effect. But the cause is two things: the void, the infinitely void. If there's a void, would it not be infinite? Correct? But infinite is something. It's infinite. You got a name to it. But it's really nothing, but as a person who can speak, he can say infinite. But because he can realize there's such a thing of infinite, the realization has been given to him that infinite is really nothing, completely nothing. And no heat, nothing. The absolute cold, see. And so how can you make anything out of that? It is very necessary. So when I read recently that they are beginning to realize gravity is something they don't understand, but still it's there, it's obvious, and they use it, mathematically speaking, etc., etc., but they don't know what they're dealing with. They don't know whether it's a push, they don't know whether it's a pull, and there's a big importance to it. They don't know anything about it, but it exists, and it is perfect in its behavior. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so what if this something is something called fundamental. Okay, but there has to be another fundamental underneath that. A fundamental to the fundamental. And that's the void. The void is fundamental to everything. It's just as important as let there be light. There's got to be both of them. There's got to be some room for the other one to exist, and the void is the room, the infinite room. See, obliging, accepting. See, so now the magic is, in the beginning there was the void. That is perfectly scientific. And then it comes to the other fundamental, which is what they call in physics a singularity. Ooh, that's a dirty trick. They gave something infinitely hot a name called, it's a fundamental, because it's fundamental, if you know what I mean by fundamental, necessary. So the first thing is the most important thing is the void. But now you need energy, and you need infinite energy. So you have to have infinite energy in the I'm looking for the word. An accommodation. There's got to be an ocean to accommodate a river. If you don't have an ocean to go into forever, if the ocean was frozen, and you wouldn't have anything you couldn't have a river, and a river represents energy, a flowing energy. So what you need is something to flow forever. Correct. At a certain speed.
Sure.
So now, the singularity is the infinitely hot. And now they've never seen it. They know that the universe is expanding, whilst with the temperature remaining the same, so you can't blow a balloon up and expect it to be blown up unless you add energy to it, while it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So there's got to be a source. They've got that far. And the source had to be infinitely hot, because that's what it is. It's the opposite to the infinitely cold. And both necessary. No infinitely cold, no universe. It can't flow in. It's infinitely expanding. There's no end to its expanse, nor is there an end to the heat that is coming from the infinitely hot. Now they think it was a little tiny thing, bigger than a little tiny thing that was as big as your fingernail. And and it was all put together, everything, and bang, the universe was there. Ridiculous. Insane. But that's all they had. Now they've got this singularity, which is this. Singularity is, let there be light. That's what it is. Infinitely hot. Who created into the void? The void couldn't do it. It introduced it into the void. Where did it come from? A metaphysical realm. It's got to come from somewhere. It doesn't make itself.
True.
The void can't do it to itself. It has to be introduced. And God said, let there be light. Now, isn't that enough to begin with? Because what you've got is a flowing gravity, a flowing field that represents one level, one string of the, what was I'm looking for? The fabric of space. See, the fabric of space needs 3 dimensions of that flowing. The river is only...
How does that relate to the meditation?
Well, the thing is, yes, he asked a good question. Did you hear the question? Yes.
I have an answer for your question. Because I've heard Roy talk about the universe many times, and I'm always looking to see if I can understand deeper without, it's the same words.
Say it again.
I hear you talk about the universe, and I know I need to understand it deeper, but it's the same words you're using. So it's not about understanding the words. There's got to be an understanding that comes from somewhere else in me to appreciate it. And I'm listening to you explain this, and I see it so much fuller now as you're explaining it because I've grown. But then I see the connection to the meditation. which is what this gentleman is asking.
Yes.
If you don't have a void, you can't have the energy that comes, a place for the energy to be itself and express itself.
That's right.
The meditation is not meant to give you a void, it's just meant to stop doing all the things you're doing and be in the moment. And when you're in that
There's going to be
moment,
something flowing into you.
something will begin to flow. And the first time you try to do it, the only thing that's going to flow is your brain. But eventually that will sort of
That
peter
is,
out.
that is with all the animals and creatures that have
Right.
brains, even worms.
Right.
Right.
But a human is different. And we have this capacity to be in the moment and just be. And when you let that happen, when you just allow that to do its own thing, his energy will begin to come in you. And the first thing it shows you is what's wrong with you. And it does it in a way without words, because it's he runs the universe without words. It just is.
Yes, but there's the Word of God.
It's the Word of God, but the Word of God carries with it the energy to make everything what it is.
Yeah, and also everything, your story, the purpose of, in other words, if our purpose is, if there's such a thing as purpose, there's also has to be a thing of not purpose. There's got to be, if there's a will of, if there's only a will of God, then we are animals, because animals will do exactly what their inclination, what word I'm looking for, inclination.
Instinct. Instinct.
Instinct, yes. Instinct. So you have a monkey instinct and you have a dog instinct, and they all do what they're supposed to do. And this is part of what God's will is, to create all these beautiful things. And he's like an artist. You know, an artist does not paint for himself. He paints other than for himself, for other people to appreciate it. And this is a nice pleasure to a good artist. Isn't that right? It's purpose. And God has a purpose. What's he has a purpose? You just make gardens and flowers and bees and trees. He wants children. He wants people like him, subject to him. See, but at the same time, he cannot make us be a flower or a monkey, you know, that does not know who he is, only has instinct, which he doesn't even know it's an instinct. He has no consciousness of instinct, he just does it.
But in the meditation, it's like you become like a magnet. You become the negative to the positive, and in that meditation, the positive comes to you.
Well, in the beginning, as far as
So
the human beings are concerned now, the universe is created, okay? And so you got the mud and you got the dirt and you got the air and you got all kinds of creatures here, flowers and beautiful things long before men was conceived. And so it's important for you to choose him. So he gives you intuition. Intuition means it's a gift to see what's missing. Now, Adam, in our story, is the beginning of what I'm about to say. So, he creates man first in his image. Now, I'll stop there for a minute and bring me back if I forget where I was. But if you look at a person and he's broken and he's mean, he's made in the image of God nevertheless, is he not?
True.
Okay. So from the beginning where Adam fails, okay, so Eve, the spirit that tempted Adam and seduced him, And God fully understood that, see. If he made a million Adams and Eves, they do the same thing. Nothing works. So he only takes one person, and he talks to him in spiritual language, which I try to take the spiritual language and put it into English, or whatever country I would be in, and to express myself and put words together that resound inside your head is the best way I can do it. See, in my own sense of worth, I know it all at once. The situation comes up, I know what to do. See, but it's more than just run and fight. It's a certain wisdom in relationships with the fact that Eve won. Eve overcome Adam. And Adam was broken, basically. And he made the excuse. Eve, they made me do it. See, there was a disconnect. And therefore, we get the words, man born of woman. First of all, it was man born of God. See, right? It was made. So as an order of things. And out of his body, he takes a piece and fashions a helpmate. See? But that is an order of things. But for some reason, which we won't go into, there's evil there. There must have been something in heaven, a war of some kind. There's an indication in the Bible that spirits fought, and there was a war, and they fell to the earth.
It's on earth now.
Yeah, it's on earth now. And so now, where man was born of God first, he's now born of woman. And that's where he multiplied. And so the women tend to be subject to the dark side of the force by birth. But also attractive, because the woman is not like a man, physically strong. You see.
How do you get God in you?
Pardon?
How do you get God's presence in you?
We're trying to get.
We're coming to it. You got it in you, but I know I don't have it in me.
That's a good thing, though. You know you don't have it in you, and you want it, and that
Yes.
is all he wants. That's all he wants, is for you to want him, and you have that. And we'll have a little exorcism today, possibly. You see.
Don't need the cross. You've already done it.
See that?
Yeah.
It's realization. It's realization. Man born a woman. So man born a woman is subject to the woman.
I got my mother in me.
You got your mother in you.
My mother just battered religion into me, and I took it to an extent, and prayed in the church that I could find God. And the funny thing is I found you.
What was that?
And you answered all my questions.
Where were we now?
Letting goodness in you come to you.
But it's in you. Here's another scripture. Unless you become as a little child, you can no ways enter the kingdom. What he's saying is that man, born of woman, is poisoned by just being brought into the world, because she's the person that nourishes him with food, right? And the nourishing you with food passes the food thing. Again, the very presence of her, without a man understanding. See, because marriage is a very important thing. Mm-hmm. Because marriage it begins to show a man that something's wrong with him, because the woman is stronger than him. But what is the reason? It's seduction. Women are good, unconsciously good in seduction, no matter how ugly they are. Because some people are hard up, they take anything. So, when we're born into the world, we are subject to the woman. And so but man born of woman is always subject to the woman. And the only way he can have his way is being a bully or being an appeaser. Because the reason for that is because the moment he was born, he was born by virtue of the husband, man, not understanding what he's passing on to the woman. The woman gives birth, and the minute the child becomes born to the woman, naturally subject to mother. It's naturally, so she feeds him and loves him. Now the women can also have a problem of hating the child.
There's an element of trust there. You trust your parents when you're a child, and you trust your parents won't do you wrong. And you believe them regardless of whether it's a truth or a lie. You question things, and you do things, and then you say, hey, that's not right. And I don't know what I'm trying to say.
No, you are saying something, but I'm trying to expand it just a little bit, because you, me, all men are the extension of the love of a woman, which is not love of God.
True.
It's the extension of Eve. So the Eves keep reproducing Eves that reproduce men and draw them back into the women and to look for the love of the woman, which is calling up Satan in every case to the men. And the men become more, the men begin to, in their emptiness. Now remember this, I have to keep going back round and round the pieces I'm missing. But we are born innocent. Men are born innocent, women are born innocent, basically. And they're born, and innocent is intuitive. Innocence is intuitive. It's not fully formed, but it's the beginning of being fully formed, see. And so it's easy to take on the identity of the mother or the weak father. But the weak father and the strong father always cause the child to look for the loving mother, which isn't love. It is caring. It's doing its best. It's doing the best he knows how. But with that comes subjectivity. And you begin to love what nourishes you. See, by nature, even the monkey. But the cow and the pig, they know to push away their sibling, their calf. See, otherwise they're going to be being coddled and dependent on the parent for milk and never be anything better. So she pushes them away. See, but mothers tend to be possessive by nature, because there's a spirit in there. There's a mischievous spirit in there that they sensed. And good women sense that they need a man. But the trouble is, there isn't one. There isn't one because he's born of a woman. And you got a weak man and a bully man. What have you got? A mother that loves. But the love isn't spiritual. It isn't spiritual as it should be. It's spiritual in the sense that it's coming from the wrong will. See, the wrong side of the force. Yes?
So if you see
Am I making
this,
sense?
yes, if you see this in a person that you're married to or a woman, how
Can
does
you
a man?
speak louder?
If you see this, how does a man correct this? If he sees this in his wife,
Exactly.
how do you correct this? How do you relate to that woman when you see this
Well,
going on?
the women are born willful and possessive. And so then it's a war between but the women always win. Even a woman, even though she's being beaten to the ground, okay? Let's leave the children out for a minute. I want to show you that there's no chance for a man to exist and find his creator unless there's something we will discuss in just a minute. But we inherited original sin. Through one man's sin, and death through sin spread through the human race. How does it spread? Through the women. And by the default of the man. Because man born of woman is subject to the woman, and therefore still subject because he's never had a father that had the ability, never had a father that, or rarely, there are fathers that way, forgive me, but mostly not, right? And so the man born of woman is missing something. Is missing the relation. It has it intuitively inside, but there's a war going on. And the subjectivity is to the woman. And unless a man becomes a real man, meaning that he is not subject to the pleasures and the feelings, the emotions of the women. Man born of woman is subject to the woman, and so is the man, because when you get married, you're not marrying a woman because you love her. You're marrying a woman because you lust her, and you cannot tell the difference. There is a difference between lust and love. One makes you an animal, and subject to the animal that you've lusted after. And the animals don't have this problem. It's sort of like an inheritance from one to another in every country of the world, every man and woman. And so this is where the misery and suffering begins to multiply, and truth is shut out with psychiatry, shut out with medicine. Listen, we need all these things. We need religions. We need whatever it is, wisdoms. We need medicines, but the point is only long enough to hopefully find out who we are and why we got sick. Because man born of woman is subject to the woman, whether he realizes it or not. And so he tends to look for love, but love is only a feeling to reproduce himself ad infinitum, see? And so, but there's something good about this. So you have a family with 5 kids. Mother being in control, and father being weak, or mother being revered because father is too strong. See? So all you've got left is, and then your mother can also be your father, and your father be your mother, because it can change revolt, but the principle is the same. If the man acts like a woman and a woman acts like a man, it has the same repercussions. See, so the key to this is when you get married. Or the key to this is to realize when you were born, you had intuition, and you still have it. See, otherwise you couldn't hear me. And so, and what you're seeing in me, I hope, or maybe it's not true, but I think it is, okay? I don't want to push it on you. But you come here because I have what your dad didn't.
True.
Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be from a real dad. It could be a person who is dad-like. See? And therefore, you are verifying, validating the fact that you didn't sin. That you were the extension of the sin of Paradise Lost.
Say that again.
You're the extension of it through the failing of your father. Whether he's a bully, and he makes the woman subject to him, but nevertheless, he is a bully and less of a man, more of a monkey, right? But it's worse than a monkey. Monkey is not what a monkey does. But human beings can't act like animals. And so what's happened is emotions begin to play. Emotions are very important, but not stimulated by one person to another. Because emotions are very powerful. They are like electrical.
Outlets.
Well, yes, it's just like it's like if you're watching television, is the extension of electricity taking form in the TV, and so women have that power to overcome a man and give him pleasure or give him pain, and either one makes him guiltier and hungrier. It makes him less and less of a man looking for less and less of a woman.
One thing I see about men that makes us miserable is testosterone. Mine's gone, thank God. But the thing is that my mother said something to me. She said, "You were a nice kid until your testosterone kicked in, and then you went crazy." And it's true.
Well, you all go through that.
Yes.
You all go through it.
Yes.
And so, but you have to come out of it sooner or later.
Yeah.
Because you
come
have
out
to,
of it.
because it looks like natural. But for human beings, it's not natural.
True.
We need to look at the fair maiden and understand. It's rare. It used to be less, more available in the old days. Chaperones and that kind of thing. It used to be virtues. Now there's no virtues. There's a sort of freedom to be whatever you want. Whatever makes you feel good is good. See? So, no, there's got to be some kind of overcoming of this. See? And so, but man born of woman is the extension of Eve's, subject to her, plus the reproductive sucking, see, in her into her, and her into him. Yes.
Can I contribute?
Yes. This is
Thank
a
you,
subject
Mr.
that people
Masters.
can understand and add to.
I'd like to address something that Randy was asking, and something told me what he needs to hear. And that is that his question was, how does a man deal with an unruly woman? Is that correct, Randy? Yeah. Okay. We, as women, we're jealous of this
The closer-
authority that men have. There's
Or
something
to
in
have.
us that
Or
will
to.
challenge that authority. And we will challenge it and challenge it and challenge it until you want to just absolutely, in many cases, kill the woman because you're trying to kill the thing that we're trying to challenge that in you. But the man goes the opposite direction and becomes violent. To get to where you want to be with your wife, it's not going to come from you and your ego and your pride and your sense of masculinity, and you're not going to be talking to me this way, that kind of thing. What she needs is this calm demeanor about you, that you look at her and you see that she's out of control and tormented in her. This tormenting thing in her is what is challenging that masculine sweetness in you that's connected with God. Because remember, we're jealous of that by nature. We can't help ourselves. We can't. But to have like a harmonious relationship in a marriage is for the man to have that overpowering calmness that subdues your wife, and it just she'll flicker out like the ending of a flare after it's spent. The flare's spent. It's gotta go out, and it'll come back. But every time you do this, you handle her in this way, that flare becomes less and less and less. Because what's happening with her? She's finding a security in you, that coveting that we all want, this protection from our husbands that we all desire, all women desire this protection, we need that for happiness. And if we were to find that with a husband, we would go to the end of the earth and live forever for that man and do anything to please him, to make him happy in being subservient, because we would have the trust and the security that he has our soul and our body and our mind and our life at his best wishes.
It's the goodness of God in him.
Correct.
That- But if there's no goodness of God in him, we have searched for it and found it.
Oh, Lord.
You see?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
Then it's just going to continue, hell on
Yeah.
earth. But anyway, if you can tap into this, and what Mr. Masters' meditation does, it gives you that calmness so that the Spirit of the Lord, of God, renews you from within, and you don't even realize that this power thing is coming into you, and you're changing on the inside. You're changing. And it's a beautiful change, because you walk through life and you don't even realize the goodness that you've left behind you. You don't even know how you affect people with a subtle smile or the most benign kindness, and you don't realize. That's all I have to say.
No, you're so close to it. You're so close. But you see, I had the privilege, the gift of holding on to what I didn't know I had. And when I got married, I saw my weakness. I began to get irritated with her. That was the first time in my life that I ever got irritated, to know what irritation is. It makes you subject to the world around you.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I was always mad.
But it was the woman that did it. And she still does it. She's not finished with me yet.
I hope not.
She's tempering you.
But I want her to be. Yes, let me bring you back to me and you, okay? For some reason, I was born into a house that wasn't broken. And a good father that just left me alone and to be who unfold like a flower. And my mother never really did interfere with that at all. And when my father died, what did she do? She looked to me for wisdom at 13. Very often I say to people, yes, and very often women will call me and say, my husband ran away, my husband's dead, I've got a 5-year-old. I said, do yourself a favor, you've got a 5-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. Talk to the son as if he was your husband. 5 years old, you'll be surprised at what he has to share with you. And you consider it, thank you. See, you don't have to do it, but you consider it. The fact that you ask the 5-year-old is to bring out the man and not to dominate him. And because he's 5 years old, what does he know? He knows a lot. Intuition. I have intuition, and the school couldn't break me. The schools couldn't, nothing. The religion couldn't break me. I just wanted to discover things for myself. And that is important. But you see, I have a home which is in order. My father is a World War veteran, so he got his British citizenship by being in the army and being wounded, I suppose. He never talked about it. But he was a good influence. He was just a man. He had something. And when he died, I'm walking along the street, and with a hard heart, pain in the heart, and wanting to, not for him to be dead, right? Naturally. And so in the rain, I can remember pulling on the sleeve of a person, and he turns around, he isn't him. But almost that moment, something said to me, if I can only say it in words, and because there is no words. But to translate it into English, it takes a lot of words, and it may not be the same. I don't know how to say it. But this is how it comes across in flash. See? Everything is in a flash with me. I know it right away. Whatever it is, I'm not anticipating whatever I'm going to be doing. I don't know what to do because I don't know what's happened.
Is that the meditation?
The meditation keeps you, as a word, it's not passive,
Balance.
Open.
Huh?
Open?
open. That will do. Just open. I don't know what's going to happen next, but whatever happens next, I already know what to do.
You're given it.
The timing and everything is there.
You're given it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what the outcome is. I don't care. If it gets me into trouble, I'll deal with that. If it's something wonderful happen, I appreciate it. But there's no emotion. I don't have emotions. I have emotions in the sense that I'm emoted from within. I'm not emoted from the words that comes out of the mouth of men and women.
How do you de-emotionalize?
That is the meditation exercise. That is the meditation, the 7-minute meditation, without religious words. Without religious words, I'm understanding how the brain works. And I got little clues. The right hand of God. How many times you hear that word, right hand of God? What is the right hand? It's controlled by the left side of the brain. Okay? So there's something about the right hand that's also right, as well as being a hand. There's something about that. So if you want to be on the right hand of God, you have to be the right hand of God while you're on this earth. And what does that mean? Because the brain has a way of working. So if you're going to go to sleep, so you close your eyes, and the tendency is to drift left at sleep. If you want to find the truth, which you never have thought of, then there's got to be a way of drifting your consciousness towards the right side of the brain, which is on the left-hand side of the body.
So sleeping, you should rest?
No. Sleep is
Just sleep.
when you go to sleep and
Yeah,
close your eyes,
blank to the
the
world.
tendency is natural. Everything sleeps.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason, there's a system by which you do sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and reasons for sleep, to recover, to repair. But the tendency is to drift to the left. See, the left side. See, drift to the right side. In the mind, the left side of the body controls the right side of the body, right hand. And so what you're doing is being aware of your first finger of your right hand, and just become aware that it exists. See? So therefore, the left side of your body is the right, represented by the right side of everything. Legs, everything. And so, but the hand is important. For some reason, It's some reason I can't explain it.
When I meditate, my hand seems to be numb. And
Only because that's hypnotic.
yes.
That's hypnotic
But
because you're
I've
putting
learned
effort.
something that helps me break away from that, is if I move each finger, it brings my attention to that.
Just the attention. You want to bring
You don't
your
wanna move.
attention to the right side of your body, see? And the right hand. There's something about the right hand.
Yeah.
But your hand does all kinds of things.
There's
with
a
your mind.
magic to it.
Yeah, that's right. See, a monkey can't do all the things it does with its hand. It has a hand like a man. It can't do anything. It has no intuition, has no input to build, create, and not take liberties of as if it was you that created that. There's a lot of people who do good things and they get higher and higher, and every high is a new low. There's no gratitude to God. There's no relevance that there's a God there. I did it. So you can actually do good things, but it will kill you. You get higher and higher and higher, and each high is a new low. It becomes an addiction. See, we are very special creatures. And I'm saying to you, what I discovered was, and I can tell you how it came about. A gentleman came into the Institute of Hypnosis, which is I had for 3 years and 3 months. And this one was a very difficult one. He'd been drinking for 25 years. He has an attitude, you see. So I knew that, he said, I'll try hypnosis. Well, by that time, I understood that hypnosis is what you need to cure. And you can't cure it with hypnosis. All you're doing is putting a different behavior in a person. That's all. You can't cure it. It's called sin. Anybody who knows how to control you can hop in to what somebody else did and do more harm to you. See? And so I said to him, okay, be aware of your first finger, your right hand, blah, 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 you know. And I said, keep your eyes closed and watch those little pixels moving across the screen of your mind and just be aware. But no effort, please, no effort. She said, can you feel your fingers tingle? Yes, the first finger. And the second one, you know what it feels like? The finger is so appreciative getting attention. That's what it feels like. See? And so the person does that for about 5 or 6 minutes. I said, you go home now. He says, when are you going to hypnotize me? I said, go home and practice this. That's all I said to him. He comes back 2 or 3 days later. He said, what did you do to me? I said, I didn't. You did it to yourself, in a manner of speaking.
So coming to the present moment, feeling the tingling in your hands, you're coming in the present moment to the presence.
What's happening is,
The present,
what's really happening is that for some reason, when you do it that way, instead of falling asleep, you become more aware.
Mm-hmm.
See? And when you become more aware, you become disconnected from your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be disconnected from your brain, otherwise the spoken word and the conditioning will continue controlling you and causing you to have conflict and becoming an animal in conflict with its human consciousness all the way to the grave. And so that's all it is. It is that simple. So when you see paintings of religious people with their hands close together and looking upwards, they're not looking upwards. They've got their eyes closed. And they're doing with that hand. Without really understanding what they're doing it.
Is there anything wrong with putting your hands together?
Nothing wrong with that, no. But just to make it clear,
Yeah.
you only need your right hand.
Okay.
See? It looks more religious if you put 2 hands together. See, like, otherwise there's nothing happening. Yeah.
Is it possible to do the meditation is it possible to do the meditation, say if you're dreaming and you're dreaming that you're meditating? Or if you can, is that possible too?
To dream that you're meditating?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. As a guess, no. I think it needs to be done with consciousness. and not in a dream. Now, there are good dreams. There are dreams where God visits you. It's rare, but it happens.
How do I get from me being resentful all the time to where you never can get resentful? How do I get there?
Anybody who tries to make me resentful burns.
No, you missed the point.
But no, I'm
How
saying
do I,
that. But,
how do I
but-
get there? Get back?
Yeah, but the meditation, I thought I was on.
How
a
do I
path.
get to your side?
Yeah. So, the fact, it's a really strange thing, but if I ask you to be aware of your right hand, you've never been aware of your right hand except you saw with it and you cut with it and you chop with it and you eat with it, and so you take it for granted. No, you don't take it for granted. It's a holy thing. The right hand of God is important, imperative. And so if you sit there quietly and give it attention, something happens. And then do you feel the tingle? Yes. And then you go to the next finger, you feel the tingle. Just all I want you to do is to be aware of it, but not use any effort. You see, just be aware. It's an exercise in being aware. And what's happening is it's the right way to find God. Because while you're doing this, your consciousness is disconnecting from your brain and moving towards the light. See? So it's going back in one sense and forward in, relatively speaking, scientifically speaking, you're going towards God and he comes towards you. And as he comes towards you, the light shines on the thoughts. And then the thoughts come up, they disappear. And the buried ones, they just come, and they may come down, walking down the street afterwards. Oh, I see that. I see I'm angry. Oh, but you're not angry that you see you're
What
angry.
I'm saying is the meditation is like unpeeling a onion, because as you go to one level of,
It takes time.
yes,
It takes time.
yes,
And the key to this, and the key to it with respect to other people, is so when you have a person who's mean to you, understand that he's standing in his parents' shoes. And then it goes all the way back to Paradise Lost. So he does not understand what's happening to him. That's saying he's being mean and cruel. He doesn't understand that it's been planted. And it's a hypnotic state. And if you've ever seen a hypnotic state where I could produce hypnotic states, they don't know I just hypnotize them. If you go to Facebook and watch how I explain it, I take a person from the audience, and within minutes, within seconds, he's under my power. And then he's like this. And I said, now when I touch my tie, you will change your shoes. And the more I touch my tie, the more the impulse will. And so when he opens his eyes, he starts to change his shoes around. I said, why did you change your shoes? He said they felt uncomfortable. Why the audience have their shoes this way and you got them this way? He said, they feel better. I said, do you remember me telling you as you were walking up, I was going to make you do that? He says, yes. I said, well, why did you do it? He says, because they felt uncomfortable. Do you see? His thoughts become my thoughts. And he believes it, and he will. And if I want to, I can make him do that for the rest of his life and produce other people, multiply them like Hitler could have done.
you have a presence, you have a very strong presence. It's like a positive.
It is?
It is. And when I met you, being around you made me feel very uncomfortable. I felt like I was dancing.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And you're a good guy. And
I
that
hope
being
so.
uncomfortable
I
is
hope so.
being aware there's something wrong with you. See? But I'm not judging
I just
you
want
for
to
it.
know how to
But what
correct.
I'm trying to say
correct.
to, what I want to stay on the course, if you don't mind just a second.
Please.
So when you have a person like yourself who is walking in the parents' shoes, as everybody's ever done since the beginning of time, he is either a bad person, really bad, which is rare, really bad is really rare. But, I mean, really, really, really bad, psychopathic, or sociopathic, is a different
Talking about our
strain of
politicians.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's where they go. That's where they go. They take pleasure in killing you, eating your guts and soul, see? And so, but the average person, if you deal with them with what you call love, now love isn't a feeling. So when he starts to be angry with you, see, and you have found your creator, which means the emotions, the energy to move and have your being is not from a person who triggers you from the outside and shocks you. And in that shock, like electric shock, puts a behavior inside you, which is similar to that person. Either you become a bully or you're an appeaser. That's the only choice you got. Then you do to others what was done to you, or just remain subject to that person. So what you need to do is give your soul to your Creator. And then He...
In the moment, meditate and...
The meditation brings you, if it's in your heart, I wish I could express what that means. I cannot. All I know is that you have it. You have it. You're sitting here. And if you wouldn't be sitting here, you'd be somewhere else. They're all running like hell. See? But you have that. And you have that little voice inside you that can see around you all the injustices, right? You see them, but you can't fight them. And they get inside you. But if they get inside you, it's not your sin.
My question might come directly to the point.
Yes.
It's a political war out there. And the thing is that the one world order is pressing on making itself the controller of the world. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching everything burning down around me, and I'm scared.
I'm not.
How am I going to get through it?
I'm not. I see that the secret is for you not to be scared and not to be subject. You're only scared because you're subject. That's all. And but then you see...
So it's just realizing that I'm scared and watching it.
Yes, because being scared makes you subject to the bully,
Sure.
to everything, until life is
I
meaningless.
am subject to the bully.
So it doesn't cost you much to make a transfer, so that the will of the world is inside you, but the will of God is. There's a big difference. You've just changed opposite. So what is subject to the world? That's what you got. But you don't. If you don't want it, there's a
I
way.
remember you saying something a long time ago. They were going to take had something to do with they were going to take you or someone to a death camp or something. No, not you, but you said, "Oh, excuse me, I'm not going there." And somebody just walked away from a death, and they were just so innocent that the guy
I'll
couldn't
tell
do
you.
it.
Let
Do
me
you
see if I can
understand?
explain. Let me show you how powerful this discussion should be to you. It's life and death. In other words, you're aware. You have life. And if you look at a person's body and you kill him, there's just a body there. What happened to life? What happened to existence, the awareness of everything? See? And for what reason have you been given awareness? Because dogs and cats don't have that. See? And so you are now aware that something's wrong with you. But the cat doesn't ever have anything wrong with it. It's a cat.
Yeah.
See? But you have a choice. But deep down inside, you are still a little boy. Still a little boy. And you have that intuition. It just needs to get some exercise, in a manner of speaking. It needs to realize that the spoken word, the authority, isn't your God. In other words, nobody on earth is your God. And so when the time comes, first of all, it starts with little things, little bullies, right? Once you learn to deal with a little bully, you've grown. In other words, you pass the test, and you're free, a little freer. You like that. And then you have a bigger boy. Let's just make something up as we go along. Or you have a tragedy, and you run to the rescue. But you help a person who's bleeding on the street, or you help your kid who just cut his arm, a huge cut, and no, calm, because you put your lack of calm into the child. The magic goes with it if you're calm, and the child also is calm. He's learned, see, that it doesn't help, and he heals much quicker, and his chance of survival is greater because of the magic that you have with respect to that person. See that?
I know when I have it, and I know when I don't.
You have it, but you have it. And I know I've been all over the place this morning. But are you getting the fact that you must disconnect? You must be willing to disconnect from your monkey brain, so that you can be subject to who created you, the monkey brain, but with an intuitive aspect where the monkey doesn't
And
have
he'll
in his
give you
brain.
what to do in the moment.
That's right. So God knows everything at once. So again, if your consciousness is in obedience to your Creator, you will not respond. How can I say this? No man can worship two masters. He will be subject to one or the other. So meditation brings you to subjectivity to the other within you, and not with the spoken word by bullies and politicians and all kinds of cruelties. See, you understand that the person that is cruel, or the person that is just the extension of a cruel parent, he does not know he's being cruel. He's just being strong, thinking that being strong is being powerful.
That's what a man's supposed to feel like.
And even so, a woman can get angry and angrier and stronger, but yet get weaker and weaker, because she looks at the anger that she has as a wall against the bully, but it isn't a wall. It's the nature of the bully getting inside you. See, making you angrier and angrier and angrier, and less able to see the truth, and more subject to the person who does that to you. So, when you see a person who is cruel, he may not know any more than you know. You have your problems, and as you get better in dealing with people and recognizing that he cannot help himself, he doesn't see it. He's in a hypnotic state like the guy with the shoes out. See, he cannot see himself, but you can see that he is subject to a system of paradise lost that goes through all the generations to the beginning one. See, so he has that, and you have to appeal to it, as I'm appealing to you. See, and then wake you up, and make you realize this mean kid, he does not know what he's doing. Forgive them, Father, for they know what they do. They don't know what they're doing. That was the last thing he shouted out loud. That he's being tortured, humiliated, and to the nth degree. He didn't hate the hurter. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. They're completely controlled by Rome to do exactly what they're told, and they don't see anything wrong with it. Some of them might see what's wrong with it and have a heart later on, become converted. Nevertheless, he did it. Nevertheless, they do something to you. So what you need to understand is that you do not know whether that person is a psychopath, a sociopath, or just a broken person by those two, either one of them, right? So you need to understand that everybody lives in a hypnotic state, or in religious parlance, sin, right? And nobody can fix that, only you. And you're not there to fix it, but to have compassion that he doesn't see what he's doing. Forgive them. Don't get upset. And that quality in you is a gift. You don't have to get upset. You're patient, kind, and you cannot be moved.
That's the keys to the kingdom.
And the frustration in the kid, in the person. The person unconsciously wants to take your life as his life was taken, doing unto others what was done, but he can't do it. So here's how it works: willfulness, no willfulness, patience. Nothing happens because only something happens emboldens him in a very sick way. You're giving your life to him.
Should you pray for strength?
No. No, Father knows what you need before you ask. See, so in that moment, if you have compassion, if you have God's love in you, it doesn't feel like love. It doesn't feel like anything, because the key is to make you feel by the behavior and the words of another person to program you. And so if you have the love of God in you, that doesn't touch you. You've given yourself to him, and he puts his energy and he gives you the story. And the story is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Be patient with that person. Understand he cannot see what he's doing. And he will absolutely try to upset you. And the more he tries to upset you, let's just say he's very difficult, stubborn. The more he tries to upset you, the calmer you get. Contrast. And that's a shock. That is a shock. So he has to, he's willful, he has to try again. Again. You don't move. You don't move because you know you can't judge.
That's his salvation as well as yours.
And all of a sudden, it could really happen. I don't know what came into me. Sorry, sir. See that? Or he walks away and leaves you alone because he can't. You see, the bully does two things if you look very careful. He wants to see if you belong to him, if you're a good meal to him. See? Because he was a meal to somebody else, so he has to do to him what was done to him. So he first of all be rude to you. That doesn't work. Then he starts to push you a little bit. That still didn't work. See? And he feels strange. He doesn't have the power. You take the power away from him hurting you. Now there comes a time in my youth when I understood these things, that there are some people, there are situations that require that I take care of myself. We're in the military where the sergeant doesn't like me, and he knows I'm different, and he feels uncomfortable because I do what I'm told to do, but I'm not losing myself to him. And it's disturbing to him. But I still do the right thing. But he wants me to do the right thing in the wrong way, where he gets a shot out of that, see. And so one day, we'd have a salt course, and I get blown up about 20 feet in the air. I don't know how big it was. But he starts to blame me for them going around the salt course again, all because of me. So the guys goes around me, there's no room to not be anything but to defend myself. But they pick a big guy of 260, 70 pounds. And I am 150. Okay. There's a time where you have to be like, what was it? Who picked the stone up? David and Goliath, right? He just calmly got a stone and
God guided that stone.
God guides the stone. And he guides the moment. And this is how it happened to me. I said, okay, see, let's take our tunic off. He says, okay. When he started to take his tunic off, I whacked him with his hand behind the back. He went to sleep for 2 hours. It was just, I didn't know what I was going to do. It just comes. But there's a time you'd have to do things like that. See, and I wasn't afraid. There was a time when I took on a whole gang. And I said, hey, they were bothering, we have a house, there's an empty lot, the next house, and they're defecating and doing all kinds of terrible things there.
Is this in Ventura?
Yeah, Ventura.
Yeah, I remember the
Remember the
motorcycle
story?
gang.
Yeah. And I said, I called them out. Well, first of all, I stood in the middle of the street with them, my legs were sort of like stuck there. And they go up and down, but they had to stop, lest they run me over, but I didn't move. And I said to myself, what am I doing? Basically, I was just doing it. It is this amazing. There's no bravery in it. It's just, I'm doing what I'm told.
Sure scared me.
That's right. She says, Roy. I said, shut up. And so he comes towards me, a big guy. I said, who's your leader? There's 20 or 30 of them milling around the street. He comes up to me, big guy. I said, I am going to make you do what I want to do to you. He said, what are you talking about? I says, I outnumber you 2 to 1, basically. I'm an expert of judo, and I'm going to hypnotize you so you can't do a damn thing. See? He says, well, what are you talking about? I said, you're an angry guy, aren't you? He says, yeah. I says, how angry can you get? He says, I can get really angry. I said, and when he gets really angry, I could see ahead of time his fist raising up. I said, that's what I want you to do. It conflicted. I said I was going to make you do it. And what happened? His hand stuck in the air and he couldn't hit me. And he ran away. He ran away and got on his motorcycle. At the time he got to his motorcycle, his hand could go down. What I did was hypnotize him with his own anger. I was just bold. I'm just a short guy. Big one. Mean. And he ran. And the next day, they're all gone. And it's happened so many times in my life. Like Jesus stands with a lady who committed adultery. Now, no ordinary man could get away with that. They're all ready to take their stone because it's the law. He says quietly, who has no sin, cast the first stone. But that's natural courage where there's no feeling of courage in it. There's no feeling of anything. You just do it. You wonder, how did I do that? It would seem like, I used to use an example. A refrigerator could be falling out of a big building and someone will say, hey, there's a big refrigerator coming down on your head. I said, really? That's how it feels like. That's how it feels like, no fear. You see, it doesn't feel like anything. You have no feeling towards the wickedness, nor pleasure in being glorified and being saying what, how do you do this, Mr. Masters? Somebody once said, how do they say it? How did you get to be so intuitively? How did you get to be? How do you get to be so smart? That's how he said it. I said, how did you get to be so stupid? I'm not smart, I'm ordinary. I'm just what you should be. See? So I should push away glory. Push it away. Because I don't understand how it all works. I'm okay with it, but I am living a story that is being written in my heart. And so I do not know what is coming next, nor do I care, because when it comes, I will know exactly what to do. And it won't be like knowing it, it will happen. Just like when you're angry, you do things on the spot and you make a stupid mistake. It's just the opposite to that. Just the opposite. It's the right thing to do.
So it's I should be in faith, knowing that in that moment in the future, when this world falls apart, that I'll know what to do.
Exactly. You survive. They won't.
Thank you.
And even if you come into a situation where it's got a gun to your head and it's appropriate that you die, then you die. But you live forever. But what is the purpose of awareness? What is the purpose of the choice we make to stand our ground no matter what, knowing that we all die sooner or later? Why not this? Why not now? Right?
Right. Well said. Thank you.
And you know what? You wouldn't notice. You wouldn't feel brave. You wouldn't feel clever, and you'd feel no fear.
Roy, I was concerned about that.
You're getting the idea, aren't you?
I was concerned about that too. The world, that everything seems to be going to the devil. But I was being still about this and, wondering about it. And it came to me that God has a plan too. And it's said that, nothing happens by accident in politics. All the plans of mice and men, how is it written? God, if you have a little faith, that.
But faith doesn't feel like anything. Feel like it's nothing can hurt you. It's almost like you're just super confident, but you're not confident. There's not a feeling. You're just free from worries and fears. It's just free, and every time, and the freedom becomes freer until there is nothing that can touch you. See, until you stand out. And when you stand out, the more you stand out, the more frightened people get. The more numbers look at you and hate you. And still.
Isn't it like a magnet? One side repels you. You can't get close to the positive side. If you're a negative, it throws you away. Isn't that like saying it's like a magnet?
Well, I don't know if you can compare it with a magnet.
What I mean is the repelling. It's hard to explain.
Well, what it is you have an energy radiating out this way. You understand that you can feel my presence.
Yes.
Right? And this is what you said. If you felt like, I don't feel like why you feel that way.
Yeah, it scared the devil out of me.
That's right. That's right. But I don't know I'm doing that. I walk around and I do these things, but the thing is, the dark side in the person starts to, like for instance, want me to do this?
I don't need to. You've already done it.
Excellent. I heard you say that. Well, it's all you needed.
Thank you.
All you
Appreciate
needed
that.
is you're not guilty. And the redemption awaits you, just realize.
Thank you.
It's nice. It's nice it just went away. Where was I now? Just now I was just talking about something.
Can you take a question from her, please?
Yes, of course. This is deep stuff, but very simple. It's deep and simple. To the inner rather than the outer. That's all.
I just wanted to ask a little bit about, the forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. I certainly can see that people, when you're dealing with them, act a certain way, and sometimes they have no control over it, and they don't know how they're behaving.
Fair enough.
And I see I do that to people too. The part I don't get is like when you see outright corruption. You see somebody making a choice where they know that the consequences are going to be to hurt somebody else, but they prefer to have that gain for themselves. I mean, are they really not knowing what they're
It's
doing?
none of your business. God will make it your business if it is His business. You can't go run around fixing everybody. You just go around as your life, and as things happen, they do. I don't know how to say it more than that. So, if people are starving in India, do I have to have compassion to go to India to make sure they're all eating? I mean, it's an exaggerated point. The business is only of God in you, is only as it pertains to the next situation that you're in.
So, for me, it is my situation because, I saw some things happening in the Oregon government that I thought were absolutely incorrect. And they've been out in the newspaper now. People in Southern Oregon don't necessarily see the newspapers in Salem. But I see this resentment in myself, seeing the people
The
that...
resentment in yourself ruins the ability to do anything worthwhile. You don't have it. You don't have the power.
So does the forgive them, Father, they know not what they do
Well,
apply?
forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. You need to forget that. It needs to be no judgment. And if you don't know what to do, don't do it. It's simple. It's as simple as that.
If you are judgmental,
It drives you. It drives you.
Be aware of your judgment.
Right. Just because judgment is mine, saith the Lord. So when you see a person acting in a bad way, okay, he's acting in a bad way. That's all.
That gets back to will again, God's will and your will.
But he doesn't want me to judge. But he wants me to fight. He speaks of this in the scriptures. He says, oh dear.
Give unto Caesar.
No, it's different. Do not think I've come to bring the sword, to peace. It's the sword. And he's speaking about family, because virtue does not flow in the blood. Does not flow in the blood.
Another question.
Just because you have a nice father doesn't mean to say you have to be a good guy.
They want to take my guns away, our guns away.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it bothers me to even think about shooting somebody.
Oh, not me.
But, no,
Bang.
I mean, if somebody's bad and coming at me, I'll do them in. I could
No,
kill
you
somebody,
need to
no problem
understand you
there.
have a constitution. And every country that has a constitution that says you have no gun, you cannot have a gun, you're finished. The tyrants make sure you don't have a gun. If you have a gun and you're a noble people, then they'll be afraid of you. You'll keep them under control. But if you start to shiver and then start to want to give up your guns, too bad for you.
Who was it? I can't think of his name. Charlton Heston, out of my cold dead hand.
That's exactly right. In America, so this election coming is very dangerous. Very dangerous. You got one that's a scumbag, okay? Then you got another one is got some guts. Is there something there? and damned if we win, and damned if we lose. Because the losers are bad losers, and there's plenty of them. There's plenty of them. And you have to be very wise, all of you, is to hold your ground. Do not give up your guns. Get together. Do not give them up, but don't use them. Wait for them to intimidate you and not be intimidated. Here is the key. During this process of becoming the president, there was some talk about the left, which is always stinks. So the left always stinks and lies and
Communist Party.
cheats. Yeah, it's a system of wickedness, okay, and it's infected our country, and we've allowed it to be affected because we got the wrong kind of people. And we all have weaknesses to some degree, and sympathies, but not to homosexuality and abortion. But you see, there are forces you don't understand to know that we are talking about. So you need to be strong enough to take a stand wherever it might be. And so if you don't start with little things, you won't be able to deal with the big things.
Is it best to stick together with groups?
Yes, you need
Of like kind?
You need to make sure that, because they'll come around they'll come as gangs and pick you off one at a time.
Can I say something, Roy?
Yeah. Make sure that they don't intimidate you. In other words, as a whole, you must not be intimidated to do what you have to do. It's got to be natural. And I was trying to find a way to express this. It's like you have to do it.
What did Christ mean when one of his disciples cut off a man's ear and said, and then he took his ear, put it back on his head, and ended it?
Yeah, but the point is, timing is wrong.
No, I mean, what did he mean? What did Christ mean? But if you liveth by the sword, you die by the sword.
No. It wasn't that. He got in the way. Jesus wanted to be on that cross.
Yes.
And that's it. And he may make sure. You see, the followers of Jesus, his disciples, they carried swords. Otherwise, he wouldn't have one. See, so they carried them.
So he just meant that for in the moment. He was blocking him from going to the cross.
He was getting in the way of the purpose that Jesus came for.
Exactly.
But there's something even much more interesting. If good people of our country can understand not to be intimidated, because during the period of time when, I can't even mention it because it's a non-profit organization, so I can't talk about people, but I can infer that way. And so the left was said to intimidate the representative, the person, to intimidate, and so that we shall react to it and look like the bad guy. What we need to do is not react to it and make the bad guy look like the bad guy. And you have to wait for some kind of tragedy. There's got to be, will be a war. There'll be a civil war, and there'll be martial law, and it's going to happen, okay? Because but the outcome of this is not, we've got two forces equally as strong, but our strength lies in wisdom, in courage, in not hating the hurter, and all together doing the same thing. I don't want to use this. I don't want, but still you have to when they come, right? What are you going to do? Here, let your family be murdered. Is that right? Listen, America has come to this because we kept on giving in. We kept on giving in. So there's abortion, and then there's no fault marriage, and homosexuality is normal, and pretty soon all the abnormal people got rights, and we're losing ours. If you glorify a wrong as a right, it's insane. But we put up with it. We start to be adapted to lies, and we get confused with lies and the media and everything else. So you really need to be a whole person to know exactly what to do, every one of you, together or individually. Are you going to allow somebody to come into your house and kill your wife and children?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Would you feel bad about it if you killed them both?
No.
All of them? No. Well, that's what's happening, because country's been sold. The country has been sold to other countries. Pieces has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I live in I don't live around here. I live in a state which is everything that you're talking about, the views that you're talking about. And, I live around, different people that believe these views, and it's very hard because I'm sort of a minority with a majority of people that believe differently than
you live in
another city, another state that's totally different than
Which
the
state
views
is
that
it?
you're talking about.
Which state?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
And it's, right now, I'm dealing with different people who are totally in the opposite, their views are totally different.
They're appeasers. They're appeasers.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's, trying to explain to them that it's very, it's very difficult
But
because
they
most
get lots
people
of
don't.
practice.
Huh?
That's what you need.
What is that?
You have to have lots
I
of
get a lot
practice,
of
and pretty
practice,
soon
right?
you're standing on the stage.
Yeah, I get a lot of practice.
If you get strong enough, look, I'm just an ordinary kid. I never went to school, and one day I just thought to myself, how does Hitler do this? How does he take a democratic country and turn them into murderers? How do you do that? To this day, they don't know what it is. It's hypnotic states. Hypnotic states comes from a very strong person, strong and strong person. And he's delighting in the pleasure of eating your soul and turning you into one of them, to one of him, and to get him to do to others and reward him for that. See? Until you have a whole army. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and not do unto others what they did to you. It is a big difference. And you have to have a spirit like that.
Say that again.
Jesus says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Not do unto others as was done to you. Different. Now, the dark side makes you do unto others. That's right. And therefore you create a weak person who goes along or becomes one of them. And that's what we got this country. And so, but the nice thing, we have the Second Amendment. And even the weaklings the weaklings would naturally give in. There's all of a sudden, there's a chance for them to wake up. Hey, my God, what do I do? Be noble for the first time in his life. That would be a little scary, but not for me. I always say, I close my house. I have a nice pistol with 30 rounds, okay? And it's the kind of gun that the FBI uses, and it shoots 300 feet. Dead straight. It penetrates anything. And so, but what happens is, so there's just me and my wife on the end of a driveway, and we just wait. And I can tell you, they can smell it right at the top of before they enter my place. They can sense me all the way there. And I keep them away.
At one time, I thought that was a animalistic attitude.
Yeah, but what about this? What about him who created the animal? He's even more powerful than the animalistic aspect, much more powerful.
I know. Now I realize it's the right thing. I have to fight to my death,
Yeah,
right?
but I don't think of it. I just
The
have it.
reason we're breathing the air we got
It's just
now
it's
because
just a
other people
tool.
died.
It's just a tool. That's all. I don't go look for trouble. I just wait for it, and then see if I can dispel it. But whatever it is, if it comes to it, if it's really the enemy and the adversary, and you do have mentally sick people on the left, dangerously sick, more dangerous if you become afraid. Remember, if he wants to take away your Second Amendment, what kind of American are you to give it up?
Thank you, I needed that.
You know, that's a curse. But you see that you've got to be very careful now, because you've got two sides and both determined. But I tell you this, if you hold your fire, and if you just learn not be intimidated, it will scare them away. They have to be seen as the bullies. They have to be seen as the adversaries. They have to be seen that way. So there's a pause, see, where silence on this side, quiet. And all of a sudden they start to become conscious of themselves and run.
My friend's an ex-policeman, and he talks to policemen, and he said the policemen now are terrified of the idea of having to go into somebody's home and take their gun.
And they're not going to do that. It was in what's the biggest state in the left? And
Texas.
no, not up north. No.
You're right.
Oh dear. It's one of the states.
Massachusetts
No,
is second.
It keeps coming to me and going away. If I can think of it.
Texas is.
No. It's up north. It's the biggest.
New York?
No, next one up.
New Jersey?
No, up.
Massachusetts.
Connecticut. That's it. The city council or whatever it was decided that they have to register their guns. You know, and but most of them are liberals there. Guess what? Nobody turned up. So you see, there's something good in even the liberal. See? It's not necessarily, there's something if it's in you to be like I am, it demoralizes the people who try to offend you. And many of them will awaken and see what they're doing wrong. And others will come at you, and that's the ones we get. That's the ones that we take out. To put it in simple terms. I'm an ex veteran, Royal Sussex Regiment. So you don't want to mess with
I
me.
respect the British.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm an old person, but I'm not weak.
We know that.
It doesn't pay to be. No, it doesn't pay to be weak. It's foolish to be weak. Just remember, was it David and Goliath? Listen, he didn't have the bronze hat of power, or whatever it is. See, all he did was he had a slingshot. He went to the river, picked a couple of stones. That's it. Cut off his head. That's it. Well, we need this quality. Americans need to wake up and take a stand at authority. See, I'm going to be going through some serious stuff pretty soon, but you won't know about it. But I've got my own stresses and things like that, big ones.
I've been studying liberalism, and religion is their worst enemy, I've been told. It was Robert Bork. He has a book called Slouching Toward Gomorrah. And I've been reading his book. You have to have a dictionary with you. He's got $50 words all over the book. But anyway.
Not worth reading. If that's the case,
that's what he said.
You see how simple it is when we talk to each other? We're using simple languages. The 800 words of the English language.
You'd have a
Basic
Bible
English.
as thick as that book if you
No.
put it in his.
It's a big book, just throw it away. Well, thank you.
I grew up in Connecticut. And I learned while I was there that it's perfectly legal in the state of Connecticut, like in Oregon, to open carry. But can you imagine somebody open carrying in Connecticut? The police would be called. It would be insane. Because something happened when I was living in San Diego that kind of illustrated what a bunch of us were going to get together, because I had a mining claim out in the desert. We were going to set up cans and target shoot and all that. So we met in a parking lot so that we could transfer, so we didn't have a dozen cars. We just all together in a few cars. So we're carrying our guns. Well, somebody called the cops. There's armed, people out there. And the cops came, and we weren't doing anything, so the cops could care less.
Well, I don't know what they're saying.
I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
If women would carry a gun on, so that it could be seen, we wouldn't have any problems. I suggest that women, especially pretty ones, ugly ones don't count. They're safe. Yes, but older people carry it. If it's allowed. But the only thing is you have the right to bear arms, but not necessary to expose those, wear it in an exposing way. So
it's more powerful and discreet, and they don't know you're carrying it because they don't know where it's coming from. In other words,
if it's known that women carry guns, if it's known and people and it becomes the norm, then there'll be less.
They realize that
because the person, the evil is a coward. See, the left are cowards, all of them. Nice talking to you. You're better now, aren't you? Yeah, good. Thank you for support, ladies and gentlemen. It was a difficult subject today, but I thought it was necessary. Thank you.